Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 224, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, Vise the Bold, sticking all the landings and hitting all those funky fresh beats and losing all of our listeners all in the same breath.
Please stop.
And I'm Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist, hello.
And losing my co-hosts, apparently.
Vice just ate all my energy with those lines.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. So, this episode, I wanted to do something, one last thing for October and Halloween, because it's really my favorite kind of time of year, because I just love horror films and also like spooky things in general. I think they're a lot of fun. Horror games, obviously, Lotus and I have talked many times about it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about, we've had horror, like, podcasts in the past. Like, we did one on our, like, favorite horror stuff in general, like horror games and horror movies. And then we also did one recently, last week, on the world of Stephen King, or the universe of Stephen King. But I wanted to talk about, like, series as a whole, because I've been getting into watching, like, catching up on, like, certain film series lately, just to kind of get in the spirit of Halloween. And I have always really loved like certain entries in certain franchises, but I never explored like the entire thing. Because you've caught them on TV or whatever. I wanted to first bring up that I decided to start. I had never seen any of the Child's Play movies or Chucky movies until recently, and I just kind of wanted to talk about them.
Yeah, I think I might have only seen, like... I'm not sure if I've seen any of them from beginning to end all in one sitting, but I want to say I've basically seen 1 and 2, I think.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean the Child's Play and or Chucky series is pretty interesting because I think it's a series that's wholly owned by Universal. It's not like owned by creators or different different entries are owned by different people, that kind of thing. I think only the first one's owned by MGM, but like I think the character itself is actually owned by Universal at this point, and he's actually one of those characters you could see like at Universal Studios, which I think is really interesting. And Universal has really given those films a budget. Usually, most horror franchises are either independent or they're made by like a much smaller company. Like, for instance, Nightmare on Elm Street. You consider that one of the major horror film franchises, along with like Friday the 13th, right? Like Nightmare on Elm Street was made by New Line Cinema, and at the time New Line Cinema was a very small company, and Freddy Krueger actually gave them the name that they have. They grew to have. New Line Cinema has since become like a major studio. Like they were on they were the ones that made like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for instance, and were a major player in the 90s. But like before that, they were basically nothing. So to have Universal, which is they are the horror movie originator. Basically, they for talkies at least. There were plenty of horror movies back in the silent era. You had your Nosferatu and stuff like that. But your Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah.
But
Many of
when
the
you
recent
think of
films.
classic black and white horror films, you think of all the Universal monsters. You think of Dracula's the first one, right? And Bela Lugosi, and how was my pronunciation there, Dracologist?
Bela Lugosi, I think it's
Bela Lugosi. I wasn't too far off, right? And then the Frankenstein was after that, right? And I think
There's the Mummy, there's the Wolfman.
The Wolfman. I think
the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, the Creature from the Black Lagoon is the newest one of those.
I think so.
We're also forgetting the Phantom of the Opera as well. He's technically a horror, a Universal horror monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, so um, they own, like, but in the modern era they didn't really do that. Universal was a huge company that didn't bother with Mickey Mouse stuff. Well, Disney did that obviously, but Child's Play was a really cool franchise because it like the reason to love it is basically the vocal performance of
Yeah, Brad
and
Dorff.
of Brad Dorff. Yeah, like
And he's been
he
Chucky in every single Child's Play movie except for the reboot that was Mark Hamill. But
yeah.
like Brad Dorff has been Chucky the entire. It's like Robert Englund. He's been Freddy Krueger the whole time. Again, except for the reboot.
Well, what's cool about it is it's kind of like a cartoon because like he can get older and it doesn't matter. Like, because he's still
Yeah.
Chucky, he's Chucky's voice. So it's like The Simpsons, he could do this shit until he dies. But what is cool is even though that reboot did happen, um, they are making a TV show where Brad Dourif returns as the voice of Chucky. So he's going to be probably producing more hours of Chucky footage than he ever did in the past, which is really pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. But I should kind of do an overview of what Chucky is, because like I think people are familiar with he's like a demonic doll, but I don't think everybody knows that he's like voodoo powered.
Yeah,
He's
that's
a
not.
serial
Yeah,
ki-
that's the whole thing. Is
He's
like
a serial killer
Brad-
inside a child's toy through voodoo magic.
like Brad Dorff was just some guy. He was an asshole murderer, and like
He was a mass murderer in
yeah, he got injured and was on the verge of death. So as a last resort, he transferred his soul into. I don't know if he was aiming for another person or what, but it ended up.
No,
being
good
in the
guy
kid's
doll. He was in a toy store when it happened.
Well, he was in a toy store, but I don't know if he wanted to end up in a
No, he
good
did.
guy doll.
He did.
Fair enough. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So the entire, almost the entire series' existence, he hates being in the body of a tiny doll and wants to leave it. And he's still a crazy killer. So it's really just like it's like a human who just occupies a doll's body. So like, you'd think that'd make him less threatening. It's just that nobody expects the child's doll. Why would you?
Yeah, and a lot of people cite this one as an actual movie they're afraid of because they're afraid of actual dolls. And it's kind of like a clown fear.
Yeah,
And
the funny thing is with me, the movies. I mean, they had their spooky moments for sure, but like, what bothered me far more was the box art. That shit was creepy.
yeah, and the more and more I watch it, I just like them. Like I like the situations they put him in.
Yeah.
What and this isn't like a retcon thing, but like one of the common themes is that like the longer he stays in the body, the more and more like lifelike he becomes.
Yeah.
So therefore he's becoming biologically entwined with the doll, which is something he doesn't want.
Yeah.
So like there's always some urgency going around in him. In the original trilogy, he's going after the person he first told his secret to, which is the child Danny.
What's his name? Max.
Danny, I think.
Danny. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, but in the original trilogy, out of them, I like the first movie, but I like the second one the best. Do you remember 2? What happens in 2?
I forgot if it was 2 or 3. Was that the one where they're like the showdown is in the toy factory?
Yeah, that's exactly
Okay,
why I like
okay.
it. You get to see him, like, there's all kinds of other good guy dolls going around, and you can obviously see the like up in budget. I like it when you can actually like see the dollars on the screen after a time. You know what I mean?
But well, yeah, and the whole thing with that situation is like it's like the old expression, like where's the best place to hide a leaf? In the forest.
Exactly.
So, like, you can't just look out for the doll. Like, everything is dolls.
Yeah, so the third one was kind of a letdown after that because that one takes place at a military school when Andy is the
you're right. Yeah.
Is the main character. And
Did
then
you
they kind of
write his name with the backwards N on Chucky's shoe?
yeah. But the third one takes place at a military school, and a military school doesn't nearly have the fun opportunities of like an assembly line and like all the different like one of the cool things about 2 was like they he gets a like Andy attacks him with a like injectable plastic like that's molten.
Yeah, that's gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah, exactly, and like Chucky gets really fucked up from that. Obviously,
Chucky looks horrible by the end of the second movie. It's
he
the
just like melted.
It's like Terminator 1, where he's still crawling after them just as a robot skeleton. Like, Chucky's getting to that point.
Yeah, so like I got a big interest in this, and then like Amazon had like a flash sale on like the entire series on Blu-ray for $20, and I was like, oh, I'm getting this. So like I recently watched Bride of Chucky, which is like the revival.
Yeah, that's when they started going in different directions, like the Seed
Well, they
of
started
Chucky.
going into like comedy.
It's like we know.
Yeah,
It's like Freddy Krueger. Like, you want to see me kill people? Okay.
like the first three like were kind of like spooky, like you said,
Straight up horror movies. Yeah.
Yeah, they were straight up horror, but like they get campy once
Yeah,
Bride
I mean,
of Chucky
a
happens.
lot of horror, like long-lasting horror series, do that because they kind of have to. Because it's no longer like, oh my
because
god,
the premises
killer's
are
coming,
all
you're
kind
waiting
of
for it to
dumb.
happen, so they got to change it up.
The premises are all kind of dumb, and they have to come up with some like reason for why it keeps happening.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, Scream is always kind of a parody. So like, and knowingly so, made by like one of the progenitors of the genre. So I mean, like, Scream is made by Wes Craven, and he was the guy who made Nightmare on Elm Street. So I mean,
did he also do Wishmaster?
Wes Craven is Wishmaster, and also The Hills Have Eyes, and The Hitchhiker.
I haven't seen that one.
I think
I love Wishmaster.
Yeah. Wes Craven's awesome, actually. But I just wanted to quickly finish up with the Child's Play series. Like, I have the third one's my least favorite so far because like Bride of Chucky brings it in a different direction and does some cool stuff, especially the end of Bride of Chucky. You go, oh fuck, and it also gives him a partner. With
the Bride of Chucky.
the bride. Well, Jennifer Tully does a good job with the voice acting too. So I can't wait to watch the other ones because I have Seed of Chucky, which is the next one, which is his child is in that one.
Yeah.
And Curse and Cult I haven't seen so much of it all. So they're kind of more modern. So I'm looking forward to moving on. But yeah, 3 is just bland, but the rest of them, I definitely recommend if you're gonna watch them at all, watch 1 and 2 because like 2 is like the pinnacle for me.
Yeah, 2 really steps it up.
But yeah, I wanted to move on to Scream because Scream is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love the original Scream. And have either of you ever seen the original Scream?
I've never seen any of the Scream movies.
Okay,
Nope.
Absolutely worth it. Because they were kind of made as a commentary on horror films, so they kind of have that like fourth wall-y kind of thing going on. Like the characters are well versed in horror movies and talk about them constantly in the movie. So like they talk about Halloween and different kills that happen in Halloween and also Friday the 13th. And they reference all the movies directly, which you hardly ever hear that kind of thing out of another movie. You don't hear movies reference real movies.
At best it's like, what do you think this is? A horror movie or something like that?
Yeah. Like no, they even have Halloween on the TV in the background.
There you go.
They're like watching it at a party. So they are directly commenting on like the tropes that Wes Craven came up with, helped come up with and helped define. He one of the funniest lines in the entire first movie is that Nightmare on Elm Street was good, but most of the sequels sucked. And that's because Wes Craven only made like one of the sequels. I think or 2 of the sequels. He made
like New Nightmare or whatever it was.
3 and Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is 7, I think. It's just like the 7th
like
one.
6 or 7. It might have been the 7th one.
Yeah, I think it's the 7th one. And they got those movies got progressively goofier, but like
Well, three was great.
3 is really good. 2 is the oddest one. It's very odd. It's like one of those movies like where the second one is like the weirdest.
I think I've only seen like 1 and 3.
Well, 2 is
And
basically
versus
like
Jason.
a gay allegory. Like
I'd heard about that.
It
Yeah.
doesn't fit the themes of the rest of the movies. It went off in like a completely different direction. But I I really like Scream because it's very self aware. And it's also very 90s. It's one of those movies you look back at and you're like, man, this is 90s as hell, but you love it. Kind of like you watch Karate Kid and you're like, wow, this is the 80s. Like they were trying to be modern at the time, but it's 80s as shit now. Or like something like Clueless. Like it's like 90s as shit, but I love it. Scream is really great, and especially when it gets towards the end, it gets really goofy on purpose. And it knows what it's doing. So, I really like the twist too. I think it's like a very classic twist. And I just watched Scream 2 for the first time, and that one's cool because it's commentary on horror sequels. So it's kind of bringing the fourth wall kind of thing again.
Sure.
It's like, okay, and they have a movie version of the original movie in the second movie.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, because like one of the characters wrote a screenplay based off of what happened in the first movie. So you see other actors in like the same scenes. like you have Owen Wilson as the bad guy from the first one, even though he wasn't the bad guy in the first one. He's
nice.
Like the actor who's portraying. It's really kind of funny. So I like that series, and I'm going to continue on with that. There are 4 of those, and it is touted as having like the longest streak of a horror series, like completely owned by a single director. I don't think any other like film franchise has had that, where like all 4 movies were made by the same person. So, that's about to change because unfortunately we lost Wes Craven recently. So, like the 5th film that is being made right now, or in pre-production, is not going to be made by him, obviously. But that's a famous film franchise. I mean, like you have the TV, there's a Scream TV show running on MTV right now. So 3 seasons. So like it's absolutely worth your time. If anything, just watch the first one. It's really, really good. It's one of my favorites. I know you have quite a few Lotus that you like. I know you like the Wishmaster series, or
Wishmaster's a lot
series.
of fun. I've
would
seen.
You like to talk about those?
Yeah, Phantasm series is also very good. Well, have you either of you guys ever seen the Wishmaster?
I haven't seen Wishmaster, but I
heard about it.
One of your favorites.
It's fun. It's fun. I mean, like the entire series' premise is basically just monkey paw wishes, because the idea is that jinn exist. Like, I mean, like
DGIN.
Yeah, DJINN, which is really kind of what genies are. I think it's just that, like in the old, like Arabian mythology,
like anglicized or whatever.
I'm sorry.
It's like anglicized or whatever.
Yeah, like Robin Williams' genie is not like jinn are scary. Like even if you've ever read,
like in the Arab mythology, jinns are desert spirits that are powerful and malicious, but can be controlled. And
well, that was the whole story of Aladdin. That was the whole thing with Aladdin. Is he was the slave of the lamp. That's why he was doing what Aladdin wanted. Like otherwise, jinn will probably fuck you up.
Yes, and there are like other spirits like Ifrits and Marids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is producer on the Wishmaster series.
Producer, okay. Yeah. And Robert Englund's in the first movie, by the way, as a small part. But what the
was he ready for prime time, bitch?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't even. I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, but the idea in the Wishmaster is that there is a jinn that's been locked into a jewel because back in more ancient times, he was starting throwing his magic around and getting too powerful. So this king's like court sorcerer managed to seal this djinn away in a gem for hundreds of years, possibly thousands. I forgot what the timeline was. And it was put inside like an Ahura Mazda statue. And in the first movie, someone like a Robert Englund, this ancient artifact collector, purchased the statue. And so in the shipyard, the guy who's lifting the statue with his construction equipment had been drinking in the job and drops and shatters the statue, and it's like, that guy's fucking fired. Like, how expensive was that statue? But it also released a jewel, which doesn't matter necessarily, but somebody picked up the jewel, and touching it is what released the djinn. So what happens in all of the movies, the way the djinn operates, is that the person who freed the djinn is in fact the Wishmaster. The djinn is not the Wishmaster. He's obligated to grant wishes. So what he does is he just goes around granting people's wishes monkey's paw style, and he takes their souls. People make one wish, and the djinn fucks them over. That's what he does. And what he ultimately wants to do is, if the Wishmaster, whom he must grant 3 wishes to, gets all 3 wishes granted, then the djinn will be able to will be allowed to open a gate between worlds to release all of the other djinn who are trapped in like another dimension, so the djinn can roam the earth again and be the scariest things ever. So it's interesting because the Wishmaster technically, like, the genie can't do anything unless people ask him to, and he makes it very clear that that's fucking annoying. And so what's interesting is that this guy only ever seems to grant wishes monkey's paw style, which I honestly think is stupid. If he just did exactly what the Wishmaster wanted, then he would win. But oh well. So he grants a wish and something horrible happens, and the Wishmaster's like, okay, well, guess I won't be making any more wishes on you. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I'll just find people you know and ask them if they want any favors done, and I'll fuck them over. So he basically tries holding people hostage so the Wishmaster makes more monkey's paw wishes. It's unnecessarily convoluted.
I love that.
But what's really fun, though, is the actor who plays the djinn in the first and third movies. Or, excuse me, the first and second movies. A different guy comes in the third, but I quite like him, too. But just the way the guy talks and, like, his general attitude, he has, like, perfect confidence at all times, because even though he can't throw his power around unless you ask him to, you're not gonna harm him. Like, you can't. So he always has this, like, brash, like, in your face, what the fuck are you gonna do about it attitude, because even if people are bigger than him or whatever, like, he has no reason to be afraid of anyone ever. So it's just fun to watch this guy on screen. And in the second movie, the djinn, I forgot why this happened, but the djinn is, like, in a prison and doesn't care, and, you know, all the inmates are scary. Djinn doesn't give a fuck. Why should he? And everyone's weirded out by the fact that he's completely unafraid of everybody. At some point, he trolls a guard. The guard throws him in solitary for, like, I think it was, like, over a week. He just comes out looking totally fresh, and it's just like, that's not right. In the third movie, it's in a college setting, and the guy who plays the djinn in human form, because the djinn has a djinn form, but the guy who plays him in human form is a different character. I forgot if he was the teacher. I think he's a teacher at a university. But he's also fun to watch because that movie gets a little more action-oriented when he's, like, chasing people down. The fourth movie is where the djinn actually starts granting wishes the way the Wishmaster would want, which was a very refreshing change. What I find fun, though, is the way the movies get a climax. Because in the first movie, because like I said, the djinn can't throw his powers around unless you specifically ask him to, and so the djinn is kind of frustrated by his own existence. Like, there's actually a line, like, do you have any idea how frustrating it is to have unlimited power and not be able to use it unless some worm asks you to? And the bouncer at the door is like, nope, can't say I do. Leave. It's like, fuck. But at the end of the first movie, though, Robert Englund is hosting a party with all these hoity-toity people, and the djinn was talking to him about, like, what it must have been like back when Caesar was throwing parties, and, like, they said he threw parties that went on for days, and people still talk about them today. We can tell because we're doing this right now. And Robert Englund's like, I wish I could have a party that, no one would ever forget. And that basically gives the Jin carte blanche to do whatever the fuck he wants at that point. Because it's like, this will be unforgettable. Like, shit comes to life. So that was pretty exciting. In the fourth movie, though, what was interesting is that he's granting the wishes the way they are intended, but he's always acting a little deceptive in human form because he kind of has to, because he's an otherworldly creature. And the final wish from the Wishmaster was like, I wish I could, like, get to know you and like you for who you really are, whatever that might be. And the Jin's like, oh, fuck. Because, like, on one hand, that's the third wish. On the other hand, he's not the one who can grant that. Like, I wish I could love you for who you really are. It's like, oh, how the fuck do I make this work? I'm Hellspawn. Like, how do I get her to like me? Like, it's like, So it was an interesting twist on the formula. But they're all fun movies, but I personally recommend probably the first and the third, but it's really fun to watch the particular actor of the first and the second.
That's really cool. Which out of the I'm guessing you like the first one the best, right?
It's actually depending on the attitude, it's kind of a toss up between the first and the third, because they're very different styles. The second movie is kind of like more of the first movie, sort of. The third one, it's still kind of more the same, but like all the actors are different, so there's a different attitude about the Jin in the first place, which is kind of cool.
I was actually going to mention, Dracologist, do you have a series that you wanted to mention so you get some?
I'm not a big movie, but I think yet two, but one is not sure. Like, one is Tremors. I really like Tremors.
Oh yeah, no, Tremors is absolutely that's a series that just keeps on going too.
Yeah, I've seen the first two. I think I could stop there, but the first movie's
there's even a TV series.
Gold.
Yeah, I've seen the series as well.
Actually, the second movie's great too. They're great. They're both great movies.
Yeah,
there's like a million of them now.
I don't know. It's more of a monster movie rather than a spooky horror slasher movie.
Oh, whatever.
But I just fucking love it.
We're counting it, man. Tremors is cool.
Yeah,
because I think it's just like how to put this. It is very like natural is what the way to say it. Like, everyone is acting like normal, not like some sort of like they don't act out
there's
cliches.
No stupid character going hello in a dark murder room. Like they are acting about how you'd expect people to really act in this situation.
Yes.
Like the Thing. Like, no one's an idiot.
Yeah, Tremors is just had a movie released. I didn't know if you knew this.
I think the guy who plays Burt Gummer is like the mainstay in every single movie.
Yeah,
Noped out after the first one.
So Tremors 7, Tremors Shrieker Island, just came out.
There was one with Kevin Bacon as well.
It came out last week.
Kevin Bacon was in the first one.
Yes, but he is in action. They made a new movie with him, or I think a series.
Yeah, no, they have a TV series. So this came out last week.
Last week? That's crazy.
Yeah. So remember when I was just like, I can't wait to hear the newest Cisco album, and he had released it just like a week before. I was like,
yeah,
what?
So there you go. Let's talk about Tremors. Oh.
Yeah, there was a TV series back in 2003. There was one season.
Ago.
Yeah. It was a sci-fi series. But
I do kind of like the subversion of the third or fourth movie where it was a prequel when it was like Wild West, like town.
Oh yeah, there's like the fourth one. Yeah.
Where Burt Gummer's ancestor is like
it's played by him.
Timid gentleman. It's like, well, sir, I don't know if I would recommend such a course of action. And modern day Burt Gummer's like the bomb shelter survivalist with like 1,000 guns, and he's the biggest badass ever.
Yeah, he like has more guns than anybody, and
it's so good.
But Kevin Bacon has not appeared in any subsequent movies.
Yeah, it was just the first one.
Yeah, but
Kevin Bacon
that first
Fred
one is a good
Fred
one.
Ward were the two main
Yeah,
characters.
Fred Ward. Yeah. I love Fred Ward. But rest in peace. But I mean, Tremors is cool. What's your other pick here?
I don't know if you know this, but Puppet Master.
Oh,
I've
Puppet
seen
Master.
I've seen the first one, and it's fun enough. I just like the designs of the puppets, especially Blade.
Yeah, doesn't that series like go off in some stupid, weird?
Yes.
Yeah, they get
crummy
dumber and
direction,
dumber, and it's kind of like the point.
Yeah,
Like the
they
first one's
end
a
up
mediocre
fighting
slasher,
Nazis.
but like those are such cool puppets, though. I like, I'll watch the first one again.
Yeah, they end up fighting Nazis in the most recent one called the Littlest Reich.
Yeah, the Littlest Reich. It's like in such poor taste.
Ugh.
And
They get trashier and trashier as time goes on.
Yeah, which is kind of the charm, but I've only ever seen the first one, and like it's fine. Like I like it. Again, the designs of the puppets are like what keep you coming back. Like, what new puppets are they gonna have?
I think they have a crossover with Demonic Toys, which is another.
I remember seeing in the video store back in the day, Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, which makes no sense, by the way, because the Puppet Master's like been dead in like the first movie. Like, there is no Puppet Master; they're just the puppets.
Yeah,
he comes back in the later ones.
Oh, fair enough. But even so, calling it that, it would be like saying Nightmare on Elm Street versus Jason. It's like, what?
It kind of freaked me out when I was a kid because like it was so low budget, it looked like brutal to me when I was a kid. So like I saw it on TV and like I saw the one with the drill hands like kill somebody. Like
the drill head
freaked me out when I was a kid. What was
that?
Yeah,
Drill Head. You're right. Yeah, Drill Head. I forgot what he's called, but it was the drill.
There was three, like the main three. Like one had the drill for a head, one had just big hands and small head, and one was blade with the claws.
Yeah, it was like the big bouncer guy, and the only one whose name I remember because it's obvious is Blade because he wields a blade. But he dresses in all black and he's got a pure white face, and he has that like whisper breath, like ah. So I'm like, oh, this guy's cool.
Yeah, well, this has the most elaborate Wikipedia like page of any of the horror series I've ever seen. The lore runs deep in
the Puppet Master.
Well, no, like somebody went through the trouble of like giving you a chronology so you could like watch them from like like earliest.
Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, was the guy with the huge body and huge hands but tiny head? Was that called Pinhead?
Yes.
Okay.
Something like that.
It's been a while, man.
And speaking of another horror franchise that you guys forgot, Hellraiser.
Oh Pinhead, that's on the nose. I quit on the third movie. I couldn't do it, but the first two movies are fucking great.
Yeah, the second one is very disturbing.
Second one's nuts. You know what I love in the second movie? Because it mostly takes place in the Hell Dimension. The thing is, in the first movie, the Cenobites, which are the villains of the movie, are coming after the main character, and she's like, oh, fuck. So she takes the cube that summoned them, and she's like, I banish you back from whence you came, and that's how she saves the day, like, she sends them away. But in the second movie, it's in the Hell Dimension, and she sees them again, they're like, whoa, fancy seeing you here. She's like, oh shit. So she, like, holds up the cube to them, and she's like, go away, and Pinhead's like, you can't send us back, we're already here. It's like, oh no. It's like the scariest thing. That movie's amazing. The effects aren't bad either.
It's interesting that, like, they're not actually looking for, like, her.
Yeah, I need to see Hellraiser. I've only ever seen only ever seen bits and pieces, but the second one I saw like the lady with her skin ripped off. Ugh, like ugh.
Yeah, that
movie, especially both movies. I was forgetting parts of the second movie. Both movies are quite violent, like very much so.
Like, I don't know. You've seen the first movie, Wife?
Yeah, I've seen the first movie.
No, not all the way through, but I know basically the main character is the bad guy.
Basically starts with him getting ripped apart, and there is a moment, like, one of the starting scenes is that how he like animates, like this is liquid bones ooze back into form, like that is, and it's a long sequence. Like Clive Barker really likes this sort of stuff. Also, in the second,
vile, but that's the point.
I think like in the second movie, like there was an interesting thing that that Leviathan is like emitting this foghorn, like is it tooting, and it's actually, I think someone pointed out that it's a Morse code for like the name of God.
Yeah, for God. I remember learning that on like IMDb, like back in college. I was like, yo, what? Like it's pretty like the little touches are very clever. Also, by the way, Vice, do you know what the Cenobites look like?
Yeah, they kind of look like the characters in Berserk.
I was gonna mention that.
Yeah,
because like, and this is back before like America had never heard of Berserk, but like, I swear, Chattering Teeth is Void from Berserk, and what was he called? The Butterball Cenobite is a combination of Ubik and Conrad from Berserk. Like, it has to be. Clive Barker must have been some, like, secret Berserk fan who discovered it before the rest of us did.
Or
like, that's way too close for comfort. They have to be.
What the designs?
Someone actually made a video about that.
And I don't think the
no, sorry, the other way around. Yeah, Berserk was inspired by Hellraiser, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably.
And I think Berserk was also very much inspired by Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
I fucked it up then. So in that case, Kentaro Miura is a Hellraiser fan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, knowing what we know now about like a lot of the Japanese media that we loved, a lot of that was like fan service to American like media at the time. So
sure.
I mean, Berserk is absolutely like Guts is Ash Williams. I mean,
I never really thought about that, but he kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, he had his arm chopped off and then he replaces it with a weapon. He has that gray streak in his hair, which he gets in Evil Dead 2.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, like his personality is completely different, obviously, but
he's Mr. Serious Business all the time.
But his iconography is absolutely
that's fair. I never even considered
very
that.
similar.
But
to
I just remember the God
Williams.
Hand though.
Yeah. I was going to talk more about Evil Dead, but I think we can even do a Sam Raimi episode later on, and we need to move on at this point. But I showed my fiance Evil Dead 2 for the first time. She had seen, ironically, she had seen Evil Dead 1, which is like the least common one that people watch.
That's like Mad Max 1. Everyone's heard of it, but no one's actually watched it.
She had watched Evil Dead 1, but never 2, and I was like, and she's just like, I don't know, I didn't really, it's just like, a tree rapes a lady in it, and, that's all I remember about it, and I was just like, no, you have to watch Evil Dead 2, and she's just like, I don't know if I want to watch a horror movie. I was like, it's not really.
It's a horror comedy.
Strictly a horror movie.
By the way, you know what the best is, that by the way, the callbacks, and I don't just mean summing Evil Dead 1 in like 5 minutes, but I mean, remember how in Evil Dead 1 there was a slightly disturbing scene with a mirror?
Yeah.
And then you see in Evil Dead 2, you're like, are they going to do that again? They do not do that again.
Yep.
That's like the coolest scene in the entire movie.
They do all new stuff. And
the mirror thing with Evil Dead 2, I have no idea how they did that. That was amazing.
Evil Dead 2 has like some of the best like camera tricks of all time because they were trying to accomplish a lot on a small budget, and it rules. It was clearly made by people that were having a ton of fun making the movie.
Yeah.
And it's campy as hell, and it's really, really fun.
And Evil Dead 1 was so good that Uwe Boll's Alone in the Dark ends with that camera zoom thing.
Jesus.
But, actually, Phantasm 2 did the Evil Dead 2 trick where something's chasing them and it's opening the doors they're closing as they're running away, like in the first person.
What's awesome is they bring that demon back in like the invisible like camera demon back in Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and they still don't define it. Like they don't reveal what is actually chasing them.
There are certain things where it's like, I've always wanted to know what it looks like, and then you see, and it's inevitably a disappointment.
No, it's like your imagination is going to be
and
coming
it's
up
also
with way
what
better
Ridley
things.
Scott's been doing with the Alien franchise, where they're going into the specific detailed history of like the space jockey, and it's like the mystery was the fun part.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck is this? What was it?
Yeah,
what was
and
the
this is why Prometheus and Covenant is such a disappointment.
I actually like Prometheus. A lot of people give that movie shit, but I actually really like it.
I could actually tell you like what I would imagine Prometheus could have been good, like what I would have written for a story for it.
It has really good themes. Like there's some really good scenes in it too. But it's not a perfect movie, but I like it. It's one of those deals, and I think people really shit on it way more than I think they should. But it's not a classic, but I still really like it. It's certainly better than Alien 3 or 4. I like it. But anyway, yeah, we should move on. But
the fan stuff.
Yeah, this was a really good exploration of stuff we hadn't done before on the show. So
Sure.
That was good.
All right, so we have several comments here. I'll start with Dracologist. Dracologist left 2 comments. One of them was for you, Vice, in regard to the Mario Kart Live thing. I said, honestly, I would not let dogs close to the IRL Mario Kart. They'd pick it up and shoot it and scrap in seconds. No question about it.
My dog wouldn't do that.
You
And
think?
then SSDD XXL was a fun game. They actually, because they actually gave fun various gun iterations, not just the same old, same old.
Yes. Like you
And
could
then,
actually, like one shotgun, you could remake the shotguns like slow down enemies or replace the shotgun pellets with cyber bees.
Yeah. And then your other comment was, an anecdote from Dr. Strangelove I liked is when Kubrick told one of the actors to do high energy acting to get out of his system so he could act calm and cool for the proper recording, but then he used the high energy one. So things were scary that should not have been. Yeah, that actually makes me think of
Not
all
scary,
things in
but
the
just
world. American Psycho with Christian Bale.
Oh, that's a great one. I love that
Because
movie.
there's a scene where he was being interviewed by somebody. Was this William H. Macy?
Yeah, that
a
is way late in the film though.
Yeah, but the point is though, William H. Macy is trying to like get information from Christian Bale, but like you don't always see the two actors on screen at the same time. It's Christian Bale's face and William H. Macy's face, and there are a lot of like different faces on William H. Macy because apparently he was told to do like 3 or 4 different takes of each thing. Like, you totally believe him. You are obviously suspicious of him, like, etc. And they use different takes from the different attitudes throughout the interview, so you can't get a read on him, which helps reflect Christian Bale's mental state, because the whole movie is like, what is real?
Wow.
So that's an interesting way of handling that. Like, so we are also confused. Like, did he look a little different before? Like, that kind of thing.
So it's jarring, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then Drakal just continues saying, first off, Shadow Man demo spooked me with its autosave signal.
yes, I want to tell this like that. What I was playing the demo, and the first time like this, the autosave is like this teddy bear icon appears all over the screen, like it fades in like this slightly jittery motion.
Yeah.
And like you can hear like the main character goes, yeah. And for some reason, it fucking scared the shit daylight out of me.
Well, that reminded me of, like, there was a friend of mine who was playing, Turok.
Yeah, I was going to mention this.
Yeah, and it's, like, super late at night, so he's, like,
barely awake.
In that sort of hazy state of mind.
Collected
and he collected enough power-ups to get an extra life or whatever, so you hear, like, I am Turok! It scared the shit out of him. Okay, also, there was also in Red Alert some sort of odd anomaly that appeared occasionally as a space-time warp that has this funnel effect that zapped things. It was just weird, I didn't know what it was. And there was an old DOS artillery game, like Scorched Earth, where the environment had these palm trees. Hitting the palm tree with your tank shells would make the shells stop, and a pair of eyes would pop out of the trees. Hit them too many times, and they would yell out loud, and this would happen with different amounts of hits. You had to be careful with your aim. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it was like the effect was basically that if you hit if you yelled, the angry tree would call down like a cloud that would insta kill you. Basically, that was the punishment. But the screaming, the sudden screaming was also incredibly. He's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Living Corpse said, imagine my shock going into my emails and seeing Analog is making a clone system for the Turbo Duo. The holy grail I've been waiting for. Now imagine my disappointment. It's limited numbers. I ain't getting this, and it's not for lack of trying. I'm not lucky enough to be one of the few to get it. At least I didn't have to fight people to get a Super NT, and I learned that about 2 years after the fact.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. I mean, I might end up going for it, but Jesus, like, why are they doing this? Why not do an open pre-order? They go so much better.
Yep. And then Living Corpse also said, I liked world building. Do we need to know how the stars get a rocket launcher? Probably not.
Nope.
Do we need to know there's magma turtles on Skull Island in the Monsterverse? They're probably not going to show up in Godzilla vs. King Kong, but it makes the world come to life.
Sure.
I mean, I get it, but, like, I think it's kind of apples and oranges, though. Like, Stars has a rocket launcher, fine. Like, I don't need the lore of the rocket launcher, whereas...
it's just an object, yeah.
Yeah, whereas with Kong Skull Island, it makes sense to have more than Kong and nothing else living on Skull Island. Yeah. It's like, oh, there are other creatures here. Like, that makes sense. I don't need to learn the backstory of the magma turtles.
I mean, Skull Island was always an island at a time and had dinosaurs and giant spiders on it. So I mean, like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but why are there dinosaurs? Well, you see, a meteor came down. Like, I don't care. It's dinosaurs.
It's just a place at a time that hasn't been touched. It's fine.
Yeah. And then Connor says, I'm extremely skeptical about the return of Dexter, but at least nothing they do with it can possibly be worse than the last minute of the last episode. So there's that, I guess. I will miss the supporting characters and the whole sun-drenched Miami vibe the show had, though. Yeah, that's true. I'm guessing this new series will pick up somewhere else entirely with a new band of side characters. Honestly, just give me a cop buddy series with Angel Bautista and Vince Masoka instead. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's just going to be one of those things where this is going to be a well-planned, well-executed season, because, like, how else would it get made unless it had, like, the chops?
Yeah.
So, I think they just want to, repair their legacy with this one. So I'm pretty confident it's going to be good.
And then Living Corpse, or no, not Living Corpse, Connor also said, Stephen King misunderstood his first writing lesson and thought that every book needed a main character. Hey!
He does
from
have
Twitter, didn't write this myself, but yeah, still, that's pretty good.
He has some really good books on writing, including a book called On
Writing. And like I mentioned last time,
The Dance Macabre. Yeah.
All right, and then School Filmer said, Stephen King? I do remember my mother had quite a few of his books way back when. Don't know where they are now. Well, that's like me with my dad. Just a bunch of
There's tons of
Stephen King books.
Yeah, I mean, he sold millions of books.
Like everybody has one somewhere. Yeah. Okay, we have General Ledger. I have a few unintentionally scary game moments. The first time I played a real-time strategy game, forgot the title, I had no clue how to guide units properly, so the first battle I got overpowered fairly... so in the first battle, I got overpowered fairly quickly. Just seeing my infantry try to retreat but having their escape cut off by the enemy cavalry and get swarmed and killed with no hope of escape was rather terrifying. A more subtle one was in Breath of Fire. There was a moment where villagers were trapped in a cave and you needed to rescue them within a time limit before the cave floods. After pulling the villagers out and the cave floods, the priest thanks you for saving most of the villagers. No matter how thoroughly I searched the cave, I was never thanked for saving all of them, just most. Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to do that, or if it's just like, nope, people died.
Yeah.
And lastly, the way slavery and human trafficking is treated so casually in The Illusion of Gaia is immensely unnerving. It's not even part of the plot, it's just background world building, and the game overall doesn't have a dark tone to it. Yeah, that's almost like the Yakuza games, where like they allude to it, and then you beat up the people who mention that they were trying to make it happen, but they're just low-level goons, though. Like, you know what's happening, you just can't see it. Like, several of your missions are you saving some woman from guys that are trying to get her in too
human
deep,
traffic.
But they got others. You know they did. They have a business going on.
Evil still continues.
Yeah, the underbelly is still there. And then Less Listened Audios says, oh man, things in the games that scared me were not supposed to be scary. I forgot this one because I have a story of this one. Emerald's Weapon from FF7. Guess it's related to an odd phobia of big objects underwater.
Yeah, no, that a lot of people have that, like mechanical things underwater. That's like a real fear that.
Yeah, Subnautica, just the whole game. To be fair, he is a super boss swimming around near the dark ocean floor. Yeah, I forgot to mention this because it wasn't like scary, like oh my god, I'm afraid, but like. One of our friends had come over. This is a long time ago. This must have been in like high school or college, but he like brought his PS1 or something, and he was just showing me FF7 because he like I mean he'd beaten the game a long time ago, but he was just like, look, this is what FF7 is, because I hadn't really seen it, and you can go into the ocean from like pretty much just pick a point, and then it loads the ocean, and he went underwater like by coincidence right where Emerald's Weapon was and just missed.
Murdered him.
No, he like just missed touching him. It was just like, oh, like that would have been the worst. It's just like a scary giant creature swimming by. Like you almost just accidentally like spawned on Emerald Weapon. That would have sucked. Wow. It's kind of amazing.
Jeez.
Now, our question is from General Ledger.
Oh.
In games with home bases that grow or are customizable, what elements did or did not work well for you? For example, I like the concept of earning a house in the Elder Scrolls games, but since those games focus on wandering around and quests never centered around the house's location, I never had a good reason to use it as anything other than a storage unit for all the gear. Yeah, how many times have you seen pictures online of like, this is my house, and there's just nothing but cheese wheels or whatever, because an actual house is useless in the game?
Yeah, no, I was actually going to mention that, like in Fallout and basically all the Bethesda ones, your home base means absolutely nothing.
It's just like a checkpoint place. I guess.
It's just a place for chivos but that also happens in Breath of the Wild. You really don't have a reason to go back to your house after you upgrade it.
I didn't even really know you had a house in Breath of the Wild. I thought you were just kind of out there.
Oh no! You eventually get a house and upgrade it, and one of the things that you can do is you can store weapons there that you don't have enough space in your inventory for, and you want to be able to get like a more powerful weapon later.
Yeah, because if you just leave it on the ground, it'll despawn eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's not even really a necessary thing because there are good weapons all over the place. So, but
sure.
It's kind of if you really like a specific type of upscale weapon and you don't feel like looking for one, it's there.
Yeah.
But like that's the reason why you don't ever really need to go back to it. So yeah, I would agree with that. But I love it when it has unique characters and you get like unique features for upgrading your base.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna go in that direction.
So Misadventures of Tron Bonne, you get more and more surf bots, and they all the surf bots have unique personalities and different faces, and they all have different duties on the ship. So
that's cool.
I love that. I like so you have an opportunity to talk to them all, which is fun for flavor, but a lot of them have like really cool functions. Like
actually piggybacking on that, because I've been playing the Suikoden games, is you eventually get a castle, and as you recruit more and more characters, there are like recruit X number of characters.
101
expand. So so Suikoden's castle gets bigger and bigger, and you could see those recruitable characters if they're not in your party, just walking around, and you could talk to them to hear whatever they have to say, which is pretty awesome. For a negative, though, I would say having to relearn the castle as it expands outward and upward. Mm-hmm. And like even in Suikoden 2, like learning where your room is, because you're on the top floor. So when there's a new floor, you're like, oh, well, what's on what used to be the top floor now? Because it's not where I'm sleeping. So you get to like re-find where people might be. But in Suikoden 1, though, it expanded with, as more and more characters fill the space. But what I liked about Suikoden 2 is kind of what you were saying about Tron Bonne, is there are also just random no-name NPCs, like you have servants and maids just walking around, like you've never heard of these people, which is like, you know what? Nice. Because it makes sense that your fighters aren't the ones maintaining upkeep on your base. So it's pretty cool that you actually just inexplicably get a staff as well.
Yeah, I particularly really like Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 with the way that your ship gets upgraded over time. Because you get some of my favorite moments from that entire franchise are talking to your various crew members, and they reveal things about themselves. And some of the best moments are come from the conversations with like Morton Salas, for instance. The scientist. He created the genophage, which basically killed like Mass Effect's version of Klingons, like it and rendered them infertile.
I think I heard about this one guy. He was like, because his race was like, its big thing was its homogeneity. Like everyone's become equal, but he eventually had to acknowledge that their homogeneity was their critical weakness, because if it can kill one of them, it could kill all of them, and it did.
Well, what happened with this character is like they come from a race that doesn't live very long. They have like a 40-year lifespan. So like he is a scientist and has lived for a long time. So he's nearing the end of his life. He's like an elder, even though he's like only like 35 or something. And he basically committed what amounts to be genocide, like eugenics, and he's very remorseful for it. So he's helping to try to reverse it before he dies. And you also have a character that is from that race on your ship as well. So it's interesting seeing their interaction. It's just like, dude, you created this mess. We were having a war at the time, granted, but you're also like what you did was unconscionable.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's like of all games in the world, that's like Fragile Dreams. Someone did something kind of, it's not the same thing, but it was kind of like that, where like it effectively pretty much killed everybody, and the entire game is just like, it's not your playable character, but the entire game is just like, I'm the biggest piece of shit ever. It feels so bad.
And on the other end, I have Jedi Fallen Order, which I actually really like. It's a really good Metroidvania with like some like Dark Souls ish mechanics.
Yeah, I heard that about it. Yeah.
But it's a lot more accessible to Dark Souls for sure. But it's more of a Metroidvania than Dark Souls ever was. It has like even the Metroidvania kind of map where it tells you you can go here, you can't go here at the moment. But they also have that starship kind of thing, kind of emulating the Mass Effect thing. But you don't have nearly as many crewmates. You have 2 crewmates, so it's not nearly. I think they lost what made that special, that space special.
Yeah.
It's not like the little trinkets. The little trinkets are the extra little bits. But like the real meat of it was talking to your crewmates and
because otherwise you're just like, there's the hallway I need to go through to get to the one guy I don't need to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's talking to Joker, who was played by Seth Green, like that was and he was interacting. He fell in love with the AI of the ship, which is like a really cool like story bit. Like that didn't happen during gameplay. It happened like in between it, but like. That was really neat. Like he had been working on the ship so much, and he was its pilot, that he loved it, and eventually like fell in love with the actual personality of the ship, which is like a pretty amazing like story bit. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, do you have any choices for this, Trichologist?
I think about it. Like one that comes to my mind is Kingdom of Amalur's base, which is very Skyrimish. That. Well, it is nice to have like your own little storage area, but it also has like
the Reckoning or whatever. Yeah.
Normal, the original one. But it was cheeky because every time you had to like, there was 3 crafting mechanics including the game, and you needed 3 separate crafting benches for it, and none of these little houses you got would have all 3. It had a chest or 1 or 2 of these crafting areas. The other thing was coming to mind is the 2 more is Saints Row, like where you have.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's just what I wanted to say. Like there are the safe houses where you can basically upgrade the safe house to increase your money income. You can upgrade. But you can basically use it to as a safe haven for the various the hostile forces. You try to put a cap in your ass, and I think like the problem was with like getting vehicles. Like sometimes like when you take away a vehicle, you have to bring it in there, and sometimes it's a little bit iffy. Like when you have to run off with an military tank, and you have to park it into your own car, own garage. Is always was a little bit difficult because you have to like navigate a massive vehicle into what do you call it? A tunnel system that was basically designed for small these personal cars.
Gotcha.
And finally, like the base system in Subnautica, but although I don't know how valid this is, because there you actually build your own base. You have to always find resources for it, and
kind of like the endless ocean kind of thing too, where you constantly like get more and more like animals and stuff, like on your ship. I like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that's not really. I guess you kind of can, yeah.
Endless Ocean, which one?
Yeah, it's on the Wii. Yeah.
In Subnautica,
it's mostly like a chill dive in the ocean and explore, just vibe kind of game.
Okay, I think in Subnautica, I think it was mostly like the good thing was that you could like finally have storage, like you could build storage units to keep your stuff in. Until you get the big fuck off with the submarine that basically replaces your entire base into like turns your base from a living area to a storage area, and you're like wondering why did you like the only reason you built that giant nuclear reactor in the base because you need to recharge the batteries of the big fuck off the Cyclops the submarine, which is fucking awesome because you can practically like it has its own storage compartment. You can build all the necessities inside the ship, even like a fucking plant. Sorry for the French. For like you can build like planter.
We're okay with French.
You can build planter boxes inside the submarine and have them like grow fruits that you can eat, sustain yourself, and so on and so on and so on. Like it is like the Cyclops is a big lumbering behemoth, but it's like it's an undersea camper van times 20. Like it's massive.
Well, I think we mentioned that pretty well. Unless anybody else has any other things to talk about here before we end the show for this week.
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Well, we want to thank everybody for all the comments. We even have a newer one. I don't think we've ever gotten one from less listened audios, have we?
If we have, it hasn't been for a while. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for contributing. This is great. We want to thank everybody who contributed questions and commented this week. It was a blast. How are we doing on questions, by the way? Lotus?
We have one more question.
Yeah, so keep them coming. We definitely want a backlog, or else we're gonna have to have Lotus come up with the questions, and I don't know whether he can plumb the depths of my imagination like you can.
Oh no,
he's not up for it. I
just wanted to say plumb.
Yeah. So, Vice, what did you do today? This question again.
Fine, thanks. How are you? Please keep us supplied with awesome topics of your own by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While they give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. And give us a share, please. Spread the word on our humble show. We need the exposure. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Maybe even like throw us up on Reddit or something. Give us a shout out. While you catch us on Tuesdays, you can also catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness. I promise I will not mess up for any new listeners. The in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as Lizabold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Discord, Skype, Steam, under the name Dracologist.
There you go. Well, we will catch everybody on Tuesday then.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Happy All Hallows.
And yeah, speaking of which, on Sunday, Happy All Hallows Day.
Oh yeah, and Day of the Dead, right?
Yep.
Dia de los
Muertos. The day after All Hallows Eve,
we don't celebrate Halloween.
Dia de los Muertos. But yeah, have a great and safe holiday. Catch you later, everyone.
Until next time, everyone.
Evening.